Jadav is back at it here to give everyone another Walking Dead Season 10 episode reaction video. But before I get to that, it's extremely important I tell you guys in every video, if you're not caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching The Walking Dead, that you take the initiative and pay attention to this episode title, which of course I'll put in the description for you. If that's the case and you find out that you're not caught up, I would highly recommend that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any major spoilers ahead. This will be The Walking Dead Season 10 episode number 12. The title of this episode is called Walk With Us. This will be my reaction, review, recap of the episode, and it's one of my top 25 favorites. The residents of the hilltop continue to battle the horde of walkers. In the midst of the events, Himiko spots Magna, who is disguised and moving amongst the herd, appearing to still be alive. Now, despite successfully slowing down the herd, the survivors are overwhelmed and are forced to retreat after the defensive wall falls. Now, in the aftermath of the battle, which I think didn't last long enough, in the last episode it started at the very end, and this episode has lasted like 5 minutes. It had a very Game of Thrones Season 8 episode number 3, The Long Night vibe to it, and they ended it way too quickly, and I'm really upset about that because they should have continued at the hilltop for another 20 minutes. I think that would have been awesome. But it is what it is. That's one of my complaints about the episode. But after that battle's over with, or after the battle, I should say, Alpha actually chastises Negan for finishing off a dying hilltop soldier rather than letting him become part of her horde. He believes that they have been victorious, but Alpha does not share his sentiment since she does not have everything she wants, which is Lydia. Negan is then ordered by Beta to gather the scattered walkers, and he actually calls Beta Frowny McTwoKnives, which was fucking hilarious. Laugh out loud moment then, or there I should say. And then while gathering the scattered walkers, Negan actually spots Lydia limping off in the distance and actually follows her. He then is encountered by Aaron, who is dragging an unconscious Luke. Aware of Negan's apparent betrayal, Aaron angrily threatens Negan, but is of course forced to fall back to kill incoming walkers because they might go after Luke, while Negan makes his escape. And then Negan soon catches up to Lydia and captures her, and she's later seen in a cabin tied up on a chair. Now elsewhere, Alden, Kelly, and Mary / Gamma make their way down a road with baby Adam. Alden still refuses to allow Mary to hold Adam, even though she knows exactly how to calm him down. He finally changes his mind after a while and lets Mary hold her nephew. Quickly, Mary quiets him, and then the three stop to rest briefly and talk about the baby's mother, but Mary hears incoming walkers. The trio then flees. Alden, the baby, and Kelly take refuge inside an abandoned van, and Mary stays outside to lead the walkers away, because otherwise they're just going to pound on the windows of the van. And she does so and kills them all, and then takes a moment to just look up at the sky in a kind of a relaxing moment, and then when she turns around, bam, she is stabbed in the stomach by Beta, who states that she will walk with them. Now, Mary does try to fight back, and in the struggle, she rips part of Beta's mask off, and then Beta finishes her off. Pretty brutal death, actually. And then a lone Whisper sees this and recognizes Beta from before the apocalypse, because Beta is a famous person, and then Beta slits that Whisper's throat to protect his real identity, apparently. He then waits for Mary to reanimate, but Alden shoots her with an arrow once she does, and then Beta, probably really pissed off, decides to run off. And then meanwhile, Carol, Eugene, Himiko, and Magna are resting in the woods. Eugene looks over the little radio equipment he was able to salvage from the hilltop and tells Carol about the meeting that he has with Stephanie and how she does not think now is the time for it, but he doesn't think it's the time for it, but she encourages him to keep the meeting. And then Magna tells Himiko how she and Connie blended in with the horde but became separated. Himiko becomes angry with Carol and blames her for what happened and what they went through, and then just clocks Carol right in the face. At the same time, Daryl, Rosita, Jerry, Diane, and Nabila make their way to the place where they would meet with Ezekiel and the children, but they find it empty. Nobody's there. Daryl and Jerry travel back to the hilltop. They discover Ezekiel is still alive, under some debris and are told that the children are under the care of Earl, who is keeping the children safe in a cabin. However, unfortunately, Earl is slowly dying from a bite wound that he got at some point during the hilltop. And he comforts the children, and then he goes in another place where it's like curtained off, and then he like hammers a stake in a table. He's gonna try to kill himself, and that's when Judith walks in, and he's like, "You're a brave little girl. You need to keep these children safe." And she's like, "But you lied to us." He's like, "Well, I was trying to protect you. What can I do?" But he attempts to commit suicide by headbutting the spike he drove into the table, but fails. And Judith comes back in at this point, and when she approaches him to see if he's dead, his turned corpse grabs her and starts attacking her. And then Ezekiel leads the others to the cabin where they find the children. Daryl comforts a traumatized Judith, who was actually forced to put down the turned Earl, and I do believe that's her first kill of somebody she knows. Like there was a point in the episode where she could have killed one of the Whisperers. When they were still technically alive, and like as they fell down, their mask came off, and they're like, "No, don't hurt me!" And Judith just stood there and let the person live, but they died like seconds later from whatever happened to them. And then out in the woods, Negan informs Alpha that he found what she was looking for and leads her to a secluded cabin. Now along the way, Negan admonishes Alpha for wanting to take her daughter's life, telling her about his own tragic history with his wife, Lucille, who died from pancreatic cancer. Alpha retorts that this is Lydia's destiny to be killed by her hand, and then the two arrive at the cabin. Alpha opens the door but finds it empty. Meanwhile, Lydia has escaped from a different cabin, and Negan has apparently deceived Alpha. Confused, Alpha turns around to Negan, who suddenly slashes her throat, and blood just starts pouring out. And then Negan, as she starts to fall, or Alpha starts to fall, Negan kind of catches her, holds her, and kisses her as she's dying. And then pretty shortly after, even though it didn't really happen afterwards, but the next scene is Negan subsequently meeting up with Carol and dumps Alpha's turned head at her feet. And then Carol says to Negan, "Took you long enough." So that's the end of the episode. We learned that Carol is the one that let Negan out, which I thought from the beginning, it's the only thing that made sense that they weren't talking about, but Carol, how she wanted Alpha dead so bad. Pretty good episode. A few character deaths. We lost Mary/Gamma, who is just starting to become interesting. We lost Earl, who maybe I should have gave the character of the episode of the last episode to Earl. He was pretty good in the last episode. And in fact, he was my first thought, but I gave it to somebody else. I don't recall who it was, but it is what it is. And of course, we lost Alpha, the leader of the Whispers, but pretty crazy episode. Negan, Redemption City here, killing Alpha. Great episode. I'm going to give it a 9.3 out of 10. It could have been a 10 out of 10, but I felt some of the parts of the episode were rushed. The battle at the hilltop was rushed, and I felt they could have done a lot more with that and had a Game of Thrones The Long Night type of thing, which a lot of you don't like that episode, and a lot of you like it. So you either love it or hate it. I absolutely love it, and I'm going to go on record. Even though I love The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3, The Long Night is my favorite episode of any television series of all time currently. That could change, but it was pretty fucking awesome. So 9.3 out of 10 because of the little gripes I have with it. The character of the episode has got to be Negan. He was awesome. Killing Alpha, getting rid of the threat that Alpha is. But of course, now we got to deal with Frowny McTwo-Knives, Beta, who is just as psychotic as Alpha. So you've heard what I had to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Walking Dead and you like these type of videos, especially Walking Dead reviews and recaps and whatever reactions, go ahead and smash that like button. If you know anybody else that would be interested in watching this or listening to it, share the video with them. Don't forget to leave me a comment about your thoughts, maybe your score of the episode, or really, realistically, anything you want to talk about Walking Dead related. And of course, last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.